What's up, guys, and welcome back to No Collar Entertainment. This is Matt.
What's up, guys?
Marianne.
And this is Juice.
Thank you for waiting for me to come in, by the way, before you started it.
Thank you for waiting all the other times to start the intro before we were online.
Where's the room? Go to your room, Telly. Come on. You're going to be whining the whole time.
Alright. So, we are back after a little hiatus. Me and Ari kind of took a week off as we had the 4th of July week, which we had a lot of stuff going on.
No.
Monday we were supposed to come back, and it was a lot to do over the weekend, so we just kind of decided not to. So we are now back on
Squeegee Side Chick Wednesday!
Side Chick Wednesday!
I should probably get an air horn.
We are continuing our movie review series that we have been having an absolute blast with. And honestly, it's probably my favorite thing we do on the channel right now. Even though there's a lot of good stuff we do on the channel. But that being said, are you comfortable, sweetheart?
Now I am, sure.
Okay.
Thank you for asking and caring.
And that's why I was just stalling for time until you got back.
Or next time, just wait till I'm back.
No, I love you more. So today we are going to be discussing. I was not ready. Wow, I probably should have pulled this up instead of starting the stream.
What's that?
The IMDb information on the film that we just watched.
I just had it up.
No, you had the Wikipedia.
Was that the same? What are you looking at?
I like to do IMDb.
Oh, alright.
Alright, we are talking about the 2015 movie Eye in the Sky, starring Dame Helen Mirren, Alan Rickman.
The late, great Alan Rickman.
In his final live-action performance. Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, so that was correct.
I've been confusing him with what's his face from fucking Friends. Do you know what I'm talking about? He was in Friends. He's Phoebe's brother.
Steve Zahn? No, Giovanni Ribisi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Zahn's her husband.
No, yeah, different guy. I get Steve Zahn and Giovanni Ribisi mixed up.
Ribisi.
Yeah, Ribisi.
Yeah.
That's different.
But I feel like that's easier to mix up than Giovanni Ribisi and Aaron Paul.
You think? That's Steve Zahn.
Well,
I guess.
Anyway,
we'll
film.
look it up later.
This film is directed by Gavin Hood, who has done some things. He did Ender's Game. Or no, he was in Ender's Game. What did he direct?
Man, I missed one movie review, and it feels like I've been gone for
a month.
We can't read the.
Oh, he directed X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh
Oh,
God.
that's not terrible.
What?
No. Which one? I'm thinking of the Wolverine.
No, X-Men Origins Wolverine is with Deadpool.
Oh hell.
No, it's not with Deadpool.
No, it's the bastard Deadpool.
Yes, it's with Wade. It's with
He
Mouth Wade Wilson.
Yeah. And he did direct Ender's Game as well.
Strange. It does feel like that. I almost felt like that last week because I missed it because I knew it was coming, but luckily I had work. Work was good that day. I don't remember what I did last week.
I was thinking for the 4th though, so I imagine it probably would be.
I think I was in shop late. I'd have to double check, but no, I think I was. Let's see what happened now.
This movie has also...
Super, we're talking Eye in the Sky.
This movie was also written by Guy Hibbert, who relatively unknown for movies that we've seen, so we apologize for that. It is the synopsis. Let's get the synopsis. Colonel Catherine Powell, military officer played by Helen Mirren, in command of an operation to capture terrorists in Kenya, sees her mission escalate when a girl enters the kill zone, triggering an international dispute over the implications of modern warfare. This film has gotten a 7.3 out of 10 from IMDb, a 73 on Metascore.
And 95% somewhere, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Probably the audience
I
score.
did not check. I don't think Rotten Tomatoes shows
it
up.
It was on Wikipedia somewhere.
On this.
Let's see.
And
Of course, I could modify it from whenever they put that post on there, but I think it's a 95%.
And yeah, that pretty much covers it. What's crazy is
I'm sorry, I apologize. I wanted to butt in. It got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It got an 82% audience score.
Yeah.
So the tomatometer gave it 95%.
Yeah. I think that's
from critics?
Yeah.
Yeah, from critics. 223 reviews.
And then
the audience was 25,000.
Did not like it as much.
They
and
still enjoyed it though.
I get that.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
But I don't agree with it, but I get it.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Well, we'll talk about that. It did actually make some money, not in the U.S. and Canada.
Of course.
The budget was $13 million. It made $113,000 opening weekend. Opening weekend. Barely made some money overall in U.S. and Canada, which is $18.7 million, but worldwide it made $35.2. So overall, I would say a successful film.
Yeah.
If you just talk about America, then
even worldwide, just barely.
Well, Bleecker Street, that is a British location, so it's probably a smaller British studio that somehow were able to get Helen Mirren and Adam Rickman for enough money to still justify the cost of the product.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but at this point of their careers, older actors will look at roles and just be like, is this a story that I want to be a part of telling?
Yeah.
And I can really see Alan Rickman and Helen Mirren saying, I kind of just want to tell this story.
Well, I think at this stage he already knew about his diagnosis.
Yeah.
So.
And if he was friends with Helen, then maybe he's like, hey, I'm doing this movie. I don't have long left.
Or she told him about it, and he's like, yes, I think I can be a part of.
Yeah, something like that. So there's a lot of different factors. But anyway, initial reactions. I'll go ahead and go last. I'll let you guys kind of jump in.
I'll go first. This is the first time I've seen it.
Third. No, second. This is the third time I've seen it.
Yeah.
I watched it on my own.
The second time you watched it, I think, with Breezy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want any part of this. Because it's rough.
It's
a very rough film.
It's a rough movie.
I have my opinions on it. I'll get into more later on. I thought it is obviously a very good telling in terms of the suspense. It's very much that Chekhov's gun sort of scenario, literally, right? Where this is going to go off. This bomb is going to go off at some point. The question is when it's going to be the fallout.
Yeah.
And you fear for the child. You fear for not the terrorist per se, but
spoiler warnings, by the way, if it wasn't mentioned beforehand.
Yeah, spoilers.
We really gotta start putting that shit in the comments or title or something.
All right, thank you.
I don't have to say it every single time, but or in the intro. But yeah, it's basically that. Now that's my point. So I'm done.
Okay. Your initial thoughts.
Wow. Is a good way to put it.
I saw your mouth agape at certain moments.
No. This movie definitely. Once it really starts to pick up, and they are ready to essentially get into the missile strike, you kind of become invested at that point. Because you want to know if they are going to go through with the operation, And then once the little girl comes into play, now you're really wondering, okay, well, now what the fuck are we doing? And there is a lot of back and forth between the military and the governments on how to approach this, and you kind of can't help but wonder what direction do we go in, and how long is this gonna fucking take? Because you got the militaristic side that wants to proceed with the operation, but then you have the government side, the political side through the governments, specifically through the British government, that wants to go through all the proper legal channels to make sure that there is no political backlash in any way, shape, or form, and all parties involved have to sign off on it. Yeah. And it shouldn't be surprising America is just like,
kill all that guts.
What are you bothering us for? Just go fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's because at the same time they're a third party. Even though they're involved, they are not.
Even if it does go sideways, they're not really.
Exactly. Right. Even though we're the ones pulling the trigger. Yeah. We don't necessarily get. We don't. Our rules of engagement say we won't get blamed.
Yeah.
So
fucking weird.
Yeah, very much so. So as far as the film itself, I found it. I was drawn in. Again, once the plot really starts to happen, once we get into the meat of the plot, that's when you get hooked in and you're invested in all of these players, especially the little girl. Because as I'm watching the film, I'm wondering, okay, what's going on with this little girl and her family? Why do we keep cutting to them? And then once we see why, I'm just like, oh, fuck me. So they said that because they plant that seed from the beginning.
Yeah.
They as soon as the movie starts, that seed's already in the ground, and then water. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
That shit sprouts up like a fucking beanstalk.
Yeah.
So aside from the little girl who you're invested in, because she's obviously kind of the can I say that she is to move the plot?
A plot device?
Yes, she is a plot device.
Well, she is the plot.
Yeah, she is.
It could be argued.
Yeah, she is.
I wouldn't say she's a plot device.
She is the plot. So once the little girl comes into play, it's like holy shit, and then you start then you really want to feel for the Air Force.
Yeah.
Pilots?
Yeah. The drone pilots.
Yeah, the drone pilots. Because now at this point, because you got Aaron Paul's character who is literally pulling the trigger and is coming to a sense of ethics and morality, and you have the
spotter.
Thank you. The
spotter, fresh out of the academy.
Yeah, fresh out. Like she's nervous. She's following
her first day.
Yeah, literally her first day, and she doesn't know what to do either. She's just there to support Aaron Paul.
Yeah.
But in the end, like she does support him, and they do a really good job. Of building the tension, especially once he throws the book at Helen Mirren.
Oh God, yeah.
Like holy shit, there's stakes. Like we have, we're building stakes here now.
Yeah.
So again, from my initial viewing, drawn in. Again, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. I was hooked. Once it starts rolling, it rolls and it rolls hard.
Yeah. All right. So mine are. I love this movie. I think it's fantastically done. When you talk about a slow burn, this is the very definition of a slow burn. It does not even get remotely exciting until the third act.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point. They're laying a foundation. They're building a house, and when they're done, they have a beautiful house. Because they built a strong foundation. So, with that being said,
real quick, would you say when the spy,
mm-hmm.
when the man on the ground, on the ground, when he has to buy the bread, would you say that's the third act? Are we in the third act at that point, or do we still have a little bit of a ways to go?
No, I think.
As after that ploy is ended, the third act starts.
Yeah, once he's down,
this is gonna happen.
Okay.
This is happening. We just need to figure out how. So that will be the third act there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, once the little girl comes into play, that's kind of when they light the match.
Yeah.
That would be. I would think that'd be the second act, or like, that's the second act. Kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the second act.
No, that's definitely the second.
The first part of the act, the first act is really them trying to identify the people who are involved.
Mm-hmm.
They finally figure that out. All right, can we do this? Well, we got to figure out if we can do this. They're British surgeons, blah 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 blah. All right, we're gonna do this. The second act is introducing the little girl.
That's what I was about to say. The second act is by definition when they introduce conflict.
Yeah.
And that is the minute the girl turns the corner into the strike zone after they've already given the all clear.
Yes.
That is the start of the second act.
Gotcha.
The third act is when we're like, all right, we're going to bomb the shit out of this place, and she's gonna get hurt. Question is, are we clear?
Yeah.
Is there any way to clear her at all? Give her a chance?
Yeah.
But we've already tried getting her out the way. It didn't work. We're just at this point. It's not on our hands.
So. With that being said, my initial reactions were that, but I want to do something a little different before we get into good, bad, and ugly. For this film specifically.
Okay.
So for the listeners, so you guys are caught up. So the story is that there's a drone strike, or there's a joint operation by Kenyan, British, and American forces to eliminate.
Well, it's technically to capture.
Or to capture. Sorry, yes. To capture number 2, 4, and 5 on the most wanted list. I'm just going to put it that way because it's just
East
easier.
Africa, yeah.
The East Africa most wanted list. At some point, they go into an area where they can no longer capture them. It's either kill them or wait. And then they find out that there are suicide vests and bombs, and there are 2 vehicles, so there is no way that they can stop one of the suicide vests going off if they let them leave the house. So it pretty much turns into we have to bomb the house and kill the terrorists. However, right when they give the order to bomb the house, a little girl turns the corner right into the kill zone of this missile strike and starts selling bread. Thus starting an argument about what do we do? Do we bomb it anyway? Do we have we done all we could to get her out of there? Is she an acceptable loss of life against the possible loss of life if we let the suicide bombers leave? So with that being said, and now that everyone's caught up, what side of the argument are you on?
Before we get to that, I wanted to ask you, how were you first introduced to this movie?
So this is one of those days where I was having movie ADD and I didn't want to watch what I've already seen and I wanted to watch something different.
Okay.
But also I wanted to watch something that was like under the radar and independent. That way Ari wouldn't get mad that I watched it.
Okay.
Because the way we watch movies, it's really hard to watch anything on our own. I was scrolling along
What's up,
and
Ed?
I saw, hey, Ed.
We're doing a movie review right now.
So I was scrolling and I saw Eye in the Sky, and the cover was just one of those covers where it kind of grabs you, like, okay, let me check this out.
You got Helen Mirren on the cover with what looks like a drone, or it looks like a fly, or it looks like something. Anyway.
Yeah, so I click on it and I see Alan Rickman, and I'm like, ooh, okay, that's great. So that was enough for me to get to watch it. Then I saw the premise, and I'm like, yeah, this looks interesting enough. I'll throw this up.
Oh, let me see the comments, baby.
There you go. So that's really what happened. And then I watched it. I cried, and I immediately grabbed Breezy like, you have to watch this movie.
Alright, so Ed asked, because they weren't here when we were saying about what the movie was about. Basically, the movie is about a military operation where they're targeting some terrorists, and unfortunately, in the middle of trying to decide what to do, the next step is a young, innocent local girl becomes, enters the zone of, the kill zone. And so now they're trying to figure out some way of trying to save her without alerting the terrorists. They can't, and so now it's about how do we do this, because we're going to do this, without possibly injuring her, or are we just going to accept that as a possible loss?
And is the girl's life worth
the 80 or so however many people that they estimate the terrorists
a suicide bomber would kill?
Yeah. So it is all told from, mostly told from the perspective of the powers that be in the war rooms in Britain, Kenya, and America, because those are the three people who are looking over the terrorists in Kenya. However, they also do show the little girl's life beforehand and her family.
Another
and so
agenda movie, nice. Oh, ooh, that's an interesting take, Edward.
I mean,
I'd like you to go into a little more detail about what you mean, Ed, but go ahead.
And it is also, a lot of the information that we get is from the perspective of the quote-unquote eye in the sky, the drones, basically. So the drones, the different, they have also, surveillance, birds and bugs, whatever, little, tiny cameras. They fly into the houses or whatever, kind of show what's going on. But then actually, obviously, the fucking Hellfire drones, whatever, that we have circling around the globe.
Pause.
What? Oh, baby, just play that next time.
No, that was a chance to pause. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. It's not, you're not that next to the microphone. Because it's also ruining my flow.
No, that's why I was waiting for a break in the flow, and you had a break in your flow. You had a break in the flow.
It was not a break. I told me to pause.
When she flows, she never stops.
Well, now you're flowing in the wrong direction.
Well, now
so go
I'm
back
done.
to your flow.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Because you were too focused on what I was doing.
I know, but I remember where I left off.
You were giving the plot.
I know, but I remember where I left off. So yeah, now I'm done.
That they were using birds and drones and things like that.
Yeah, now I'm done.
Okay. So.
Okay, so back to
my question again. You are all now military leaders or politicians or whatever role you want to be. And some misleading politicians spraying lies as it is. I hate politics. I completely agree, but I love morality tales.
I don't know if that's what this is entirely.
This is definitely more of a morality tale than anything else, and it actually kind of exposes politics for the way they think, which is going to be part of my review as well. But I'm really curious to have this discussion. You're all military leaders, drone pilots, whatever the fuck. You're in this situation. You have a little girl who is selling bread, and there's terrorists right next door who are going to kill a lot of people if you don't stop them. What side of the argument are you on?
You're both wrong. Find another solution.
But there is no other solution. They make a very good job. They do a very good job at showing that there is no other solution.
Find another solution. You mean to tell me that they could have... Well, so here's my thing. Because... And this is why I was kind of hoping to do this now. This gets into my bad and ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a lot of worst case scenario. Not to say that stuff that couldn't possibly happen, but it is to try and, at a certain extent, normalize the, we have, one cow versus, 80. What do you do? We have to torture them to get the information, or we don't. And everyone's gonna die. It's basically what, I love 24.
Chrono loves speed.
Do you let me finish? For someone who loved 24, watched all fucking 6 or 7, 19 seasons of it, and would do it again. But the idea is a lot of it was, this, you gotta do the information now, you would try to do everything to make sure everyone's safe as much as possible, but this is happening, there's no other possible way, there's no only other way to do it, and it's just through as much violence as possible. And while obviously it's not necessarily as much violence as possible, Hellfire Missile's pretty fucking violent.
Well, it does the job.
it does, however, there are other considerations like the other payload that was in the house, and that's why it becomes so much more dangerous.
Yeah.
And so, the issue for me with this movie, which was going to be part of my bad, is forcing the audience.
I'm just asking where you're at on the argument.
Now is forcing the audience and me as a military leader or a pilot or whatever to make a decision where I either guarantee kill this child or maybe kill a bunch of other people. Or not. And I think another thing is that part of that also takes and they make the argument, and I think that's the best one, honestly, throughout the whole movie, is the responsibility on killing the other people with a terrorist act falls on the people who are doing the fucking terrorist act. And while there is a certain amount of culpability I understand as, government leaders who see this happening and just, stand by, obviously you should do something about it if you can. But the other part of that is we constantly hear arguments about why we can't go into certain areas because they're using human shields. If this was not the problem, then why the hell do we have to worry about it in this movie?
Okay.
We have that issue all the time. So obviously we either don't do it or we only ever do it.
So your short answer is find another solution.
The short answer is find another solution. The long answer is save the girl.
Okay. Juice.
Oh boy. part of me agrees with you. There's also a part of me who, again, and maybe because I'm just, I see both sides. I see both sides of the argument.
Well, they do a very good job of presenting them.
No, yes. Of course. Like I see both sides of the argument. There's always the, do we sacrifice one life to save a million, or do we save the one and or do we try to save the one and let the bad guys win?
Right.
You know, there's always that argument, but it always comes down to, it's always going to come down to how other people see us. That's obvious, and that's one of the biggest things about this movie is the propaganda, winning the propaganda race. If I were in that position, it's a really tough call, because you always want to try to prevent as many casualties as possible.
Americans. Like, why are we only using one Hellfire missile? We gave you like a gross. What are you doing?
I mean, look, because the another thing I was looking at, like you say, find another way. I agree. There's always another way to look at everything. The problem with this argument with this movie, the way this movie presents it, is we're trying to get these people, and we may lose an opportunity, and now they have presented another X Factor, and now we should try to eliminate said X Factor. Yeah. And they did do the best that they could. You know, they try to get the little girl out of the way. The man on the ground went to go buy bread, but he got recognized, and it was fucked up.
He got misrecognized. I think they said something about the jacket. Did he buy it from somebody
else? No. One of the
yeah, he said he recognized the jacket.
No, one of the I think he
said
I recognize your face.
Before.
He said I recognize your
okay.
face. Yeah, so he got recognized. That screwed everything up, and you know, to prevent any further, basically, so he didn't die. He ran.
Yeah.
You know, so I agree with you to find another way. Ultimately, it kind of comes down to when push comes to shove, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where the consensus is going to come from. For me personally, it's you do everything you can to get that girl out of there. The second that you see a body come out of that building towards a car, you fire.
Well, yeah.
Like, you lock on, and you are ready to fire, and if you see anybody, but until then, we're going to do everything we can to get her out of here.
Yeah.
But if you see someone walk out of the door, fire.
Well, and that was kind of the problem, was that they lost the eyes in the room, so, like, they're like, how much longer do we have before they leave? The issue is they never saw anybody leave the building before they fired.
I guess my thing is that the missile flight time took 50 seconds. Mm-hmm. Most people, or anyone at the higher up levels, the colonel, all that, would know that.
Yeah.
Or at least have an estimate on that. And it's going to take more than a minute to get both suicide bombers in the car and leave.
Right.
So, as soon as you see someone walk out of the house, you fire.
You target the house. Target the car is nothing else, because then that way,
you're
not worried about the additional payload going off and ruining other houses.
Yes.
No, but at that point, then the payload then moves to the bazaar, the way that they had set up, the cars were to the north, so it's possible it was going to hit the house.
Yeah.
The neighboring house next door.
So it would have hit the little
her parents
right.
instead.
Yeah.
Right. But but the issue with why it was such a grave situation, aside from everything going on, was because there were additional munitions in the house.
Yeah.
And that's obviously going to increase the explosion and explosive capacity.
Correct.
So if you're only hitting the car, granted the vests are going to be explosive also, but if you're only hitting the car and those vests as opposed to the car, the vest, and the munitions in the house, your kill zone is going to be smaller by comparison. Now, granted, it's still going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And it might be unpredictable. But the idea is that you are having a higher likelihood of the ratio of killing people that you're targeting versus killing anybody collateral damage is lower.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
All right. So you're good and bad
or higher,
and
I think.
Ugly and great.
So we're going to do that one at a time, or we're just going to do all of them at once?
So let's start with the good.
Right.
I'll start.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and jump in and start. Let's see, my good. The pacing. I think the pacing on this movie is, like you said, it's a slow burn, and it definitely needs to be, because like we were talking about with the first act. Act 1, you gotta establish all your players, and it does a really good job of doing that. You meet everyone involved. You kind of get an idea of who they are, what they're gonna be going through. I mean, we met someone who's the airman, I think is what she was. The new girl. First day there, and she's thrown into the shit.
Yeah.
You know, so there is that. But again, Act 1, you meet your players, find out what's going on. Act 2, we introduce the X factor of the little girl, so now we start getting tension, and we kind of ramp up once we get into it with the little, because now we're jumping all around. You know, we're going from Helen Mirren's character to Alan Rickman and his little council, jumping back to them, jumping to the Americans, and then jumping to the what was his position? The foreign
secretary.
The foreign secretary. Mm-hmm. You know, we're jumping around, and things really start to build up. And then once we get to Act 3, the third act, we're like, this is make or break. It's make or break. So I really do enjoy the pacing on this movie. The performances overall are fantastic. Helen Mirren, I think, can do no wrong.
Oh yeah.
I still, as much as Alan Rickman got, I still feel like they're like maybe I'm used to having more of Alan Rickman. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I didn't get enough Alan Rickman for this being his final performance.
Yeah.
But for what we got of him, he is fantastic as always.
Also fighting aggressive cancer at the time. Probably.
Yeah.
So it's very. Yeah. They were happy we got what we got.
No, no, and for that reason, I'm very appreciative of what we got of him, because it's Alan fucking Rickman.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's like those last few lines he delivered to the woman whose position I don't know if we ever got.
I don't know if we ever got her position either, but she was the
Angela
other
woman.
The other one.
I believe she is a member of parliament.
Okay.
It came off as congressman.
Right. Well, the
I guess because Congress is to a certain extent, I think they're elected. I did not feel what she was doing. They're all elected or whatever, but I think that her role was more council.
See, I got Congress out of it. Like, I'm a member of parliament, and I've been elected to my position. A very holier-than-thou attitude who has never been in these situations.
Over everybody else.
Right.
Because there was a minister there, there was the attorney general there.
And they do introductions, too.
They do, but they never give her They never give her
position.
They
who she is.
No, they never did.
Look it up.
They just, the comment that we got was, congratulations on your promotion. And
what's the promotion?
And that was it. I never got a position for her.
So she's not parliament. She probably is an aide to somebody.
Probably.
But her role is basically to speak on their behalf.
Of course. Going back to Alan Rickman's line deliveries, there's an emphasis there, especially after everything's said and done. It's like the way he delivered his words, as far as, you know, I've been there, I've seen it, while you sit there eating your biscuits and tea. Oh, yes. I think I really liked Aaron Paul in this film. Like once he decides to nut up to Helen Mirren, I'm like, oh shit, really? Okay. And his emotion going into the third act, right when he's getting ready to pull the trigger, like you feel it. You know, they did a really good job of establishing the tension, the emotional tension in that small room, just between those two people. I think they did a really good job of that. Overall, and like I said, I think really enjoyed the performances. Some of the shots, for whatever reason, the shot at the beginning when we pull into the military zone in the States was very CG-ish, and it took me out for a hot second.
Oh, here we go. It's 2 full government ministers, which I'm assuming are the 2 men in there.
Well, he's Attorney General.
No, he's an Attorney General.
That's different.
No, the Attorney General was off-site.
No, the Attorney General was there. There were foreign secretaries who was off-site.
Oh, okay. 2 government ministers and a ministerial undersecretary.
That's what she was.
That's.
So that's.
I thought that's what the buddy on the computer was.
That I have no idea, because they don't say the Attorney General, so maybe he's a minister because that's how they do it over there.
All right, anyway,
there's 4 people.
We
and
don't know
3
British government very well,
okay,
so forgive us.
Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so the shot going into the Vegas military base looked a little CG heavy, so it took me out for a hot second. But other than that, like everything else looked fantastic. There's there's a lot of small rooms outside of like Helen Mirren's command center. It's because that's bigger, but they do a really good job with just these like little rooms, the shots in all these small rooms. I'm pretty sure there's more, but I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to whoever would like to go next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I felt like the best part of this movie, like the good for me, it's Alan Rickman. That's all. Like, not like that's the only thing, but like it's Alan Rickman. Like that in of itself is a good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we can move on. Dame Helen Mirren, another good. I don't have to go into their performance because it's fucking them.
Yeah.
Their performance speaks for themselves. The pacing that you mentioned before, the setting up the tension, the camera angles they use, the trying, like, because the camera is very slow when they're using it for like the surveillance, in both the above the ground and also on the ground, but especially lower down because the view is so much narrower. It moves almost painfully slow, like you almost kind of want to peek around, like you're almost kind of craning your neck because you want to look around the corner where they're trying to get you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the point.
They do a very, very good job of doing that. I'm gonna end it there though. That's about my good.
It's still pretty solid. So my good, I mean Alan Rickman, Helen Mirren. Aaron Paul does a fantastic job. It's a very different character than Jesse in Breaking Bad, so it's definitely interesting to see that. The pacing, the foundation laying, the writing, the dialogue, the kind of representation of cultures, kind of. I seriously, one of my favorite moments of the movie is when they finally get to the U.S. secretary. And he's like, "Why the fuck are you even calling me?"
And he's playing
bomb their ass.
He's playing ping pong in Beijing.
In China. And then as soon as he gets off the phone, like, bomb their ass. Hangs up the phone, goes back to playing ping pong. Like, that is the most American politician thing I could envision in this movie. The writing, just in general, is fantastic. There is some questionable CGI moments, but it's 2015's.
But again,
and low budget.
Yeah, but again, like I said, it takes you out for like a second.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really bother you again.
Yeah, and
it doesn't come up as much. Unlike with Godzilla, for me.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of minimalist films like this, where it's done in 3 rooms, 3 sets, or like Buried with Ryan Reynolds. That's like literally in one thing.
6 Feet Under.
Is that what it's called? It's called Buried.
Buried. Oh, sorry.
So those minimalistic films, I'm a huge fan because it forces you to do more with less. So overall, that's my good. I don't think I have much.
I think another thing another thing you get out of it that we've said in the past: less is more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm
gonna start with bad this time.
Okay.
No, go ahead, please.
So my bad. There are a couple of very specific things. One, I don't understand how, and I don't know what his name was, the guy on the ground, after he's hiding from the other people, how he knows that she's still selling bread.
Actually, that is cleared.
How?
So,
they don't show him talking to him. They don't mention that they're talking to him. Let him know. They put down. He's down. So he's out.
When he's talking to the boy, he covers it.
No.
Yes, he does. What, can I finish?
Apparently, I can't finish.
You asked for clarification. I'm trying to give you clarification.
I didn't finish my point as to why that's a problem.
Okay.
The issue is when he goes to talk to the boy and asks, like, he doesn't know that she's still there. So why would he bother with that in the first place? Last he left her, he bought her bread and then took off. So why would he then go out of his way to assume that she's still there?
Because that is a very poor region, and he left the bread there, and if the bread's still there, there's no wares to sell, and she would stay there. It's possible that she would stay there and sell them, and he's going off with a possibility, and that was his last standing order to take care of, so he's got to make sure that that's clear. So what he actually says to the boy is, go to the mosque, take a left, and look on the corner. If there is a girl standing there, buy all her bread and come running back.
Okay.
So the if is like, I'm making sure that my order was done correctly, and then he's got to come right back. And if you make it back in under a minute, which saves the little boy, because he's like, I need you to get out of there too.
I'll give you all this. I'll give
you all the money. Yeah. So I feel like that situation clears itself up.
See, I will still call that as a bad.
Okay.
I understand your rationale for it, and it does make more sense. The issue is, once he's out of the count, we just basically forget about him until he's brought back up at the end to randomly try and help save her. And so the issue is if they were showing him still hiding, if they were showing his phone that was damaged, they're trying to give him the information and he doesn't get it. If they're showing any sort of backstory that explains why he would know that, fine, they don't. So we're just left to assume that he's going to do it based off his assumption living in the area. We barely know that he lives in the area. So the reality is, we assume he's a local, right?
Well, we know he is because they had to kick him out of there before.
I'm still 100% focused on that. Or still not 100% on that because the idea is that they could be mistaken.
Okay.
So that's my issue, is that there's not enough, and it's part of my next problem with the bad.
So when they cover it in the script and you just don't buy what they're saying in the script,
I'm going to give you another example as to why there's another bad here.
Okay.
Helen Mirren has a hard-on for the woman who they're trying to kill.
Oh, absolutely. So there's a backstory there. And
they don't explain it. Mm-hmm. They barely cover the fact that she's on her wall of people that she's trying to go after. Mm. And that's supposed to be enough. That's my problem. It's the same thing for the guy they have. I'm supposed to assume that he knows this information and he's going to act accordingly, but they don't really give me enough information to make that assumption with him. Now, I can maybe see your point on him. I don't see it for Helen Mirren.
Well, no, it's more of she's been tracking her for 6 years.
I understand.
I don't think there has to be too much of a backstory there because that's not the point of this movie. You don't need to know why she has a hard-on for her. You just need to know that she wants her bad.
No, and that's fair.
And that's because that's not the story. The story is the morality tale.
No, I understand that. The issue is, if you want me to buy it as a morality tale, I need to have some understanding as to why this person is such a threat for you when you are very clearly demonstrating that she is a threat for you. And I understand just saying she's number 4, but that's the other thing probably for this whole bad is they're explaining this person, and then Susan Danford, and give her backstory as to how she became radicalized. We don't care about the other people who were part of that radicalization. We only care about the British white female and why she's radicalized, ignoring how the other people got radicalized. That's another part of my bad, but that's actually close to my ugly that I'm going to get into a little bit later on. But the idea is that there's a certain amount of assumptions they expect us to take in this movie that I'm not comfortable taking.
No, implied.
And they don't really explain it well enough.
Implied patriotism will always be a problem with me with these types of movies, and that would be part of my bad as well. So I'll agree with you on that point.
So all of those to me are related.
Yeah.
And that's why that's my bad.
Okay. Do you have any more?
No, I think the rest of them all fall under ugly.
Okay.
I agree with your bad. It didn't bother me as much because I took the movie at face value. I don't really think I have much else. Yeah. I mean, no.
So, I'm going to say my bad, and then I'm going to go after one of your points again.
That's fine.
My only bad is assumed patriotism. Like, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. It's just, how should we handle this situation? And are they the bad guys? Well, and in this case, they're going to suicide bomb somebody, and
yes,
they're probably bad guys. Yes.
Yes.
But I am not a fan of implied patriotism, and like, we are just automatically the good guys. They're automatically the bad guys,
right?
Because they were radicalized into Islam, when people have been radicalized into Islam because America bombed their family. I know we don't want to talk about that, but fuck that.
Well, apparently, and also Britain.
And Britain has bombed people. And, we have created some of this, and we don't take any accountability.
Yeah.
But anyway, because of the ending, I feel like...
Oh, 100% fuck this country.
Yeah. Strange Enigma said that. So... with the ending... Spoilers. It's not a happy ending.
No.
Yeah. Well, even if it was, it wouldn't be.
No, but you know what I'm specifically talking about, and I'm trying not to just blatantly say it.
Yes.
If it was a happy ending in that vein, I feel like the Vox Machina argument would be super valid, and I'd probably have a major problem with it.
Is it Vox Machina?
Oh, did I say Vox Machina?
Yeah.
The Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, yeah.
Vox Machina would be Critical Role.
Yeah.
Yes. Arguments. The Ex Machina argument would be super valid. Because it was an unhappy ending, that saves the Ex Machina. Or it makes it not an Ex Machina. Yeah, by definition.
Yeah.
So... that's why I don't really have a problem with it, but if it would have gone the other way, I probably would have a major problem with it, so I am accepting you're bad, because I get it, and it's a fine line, and it did pigeonhole them into only one way to do this ending.
Well, and I guess part of my issue, and I'm just going to rebut, but like, I see your point, and I'm just going to clarify, with regards to the narrative of the story, why even introduce the boy to try and save her?
Glimmer of hope.
Why bother?
The false hope. It's the false hope.
Yeah. Because you just don't give that anyway. You eliminate the part, you just have her just, maybe a dog runs by. The dog we already saw earlier runs by. She goes to, like, pet it or whatever, and it gets her just that much outside of the blast zone or whatever. Like, you can do other stuff.
You can.
And so it's like, why are you choosing to put this in this film?
Sometimes it's just what pops into your head. That's what it feels like.
But that's not necessarily doesn't make it a good idea.
But it doesn't make it bad either. Because when you're sitting here trying to make sense of something, it's like creating a wrestling match. When an idea pops into your head, just because it popped into your head doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
Or a good one.
Well, it doesn't necessarily. It really doesn't mean it's a good idea.
But it really doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
You still have to make it make sense. An argument? Just because it's an idea, you have to still make it make sense.
It does make sense.
It's a monkey dishwasher.
It does make sense.
When it makes no sense.
He looks out from under the truck. He sees feet of a boy playing, which tells him that the soldiers chasing them. I am not finished.
Okay, fine.
Tells him the soldiers that are chasing him are gone.
You're missing my point.
Oh, I haven't finished. But go ahead. Please tell me how I'm missing your point.
It's not about what happens in the film. Someone somewhere wrote it. That is where my issue is.
Yes.
Someone chose
that
to
is
put
how
that
all
in there.
Stories work.
Yes, and so someone chose to stick that in there when, had you not, the same outcome would have occurred. It would not have changed anything.
Actually, it would have.
Actually, how?
It absolutely would have, because she was on the edge of the blast zone because of that, instead of dead damn center.
Either way, what is the outcome?
The outcome is the possibility.
Yeah. Okay. So this is
the hope.
And so what is the purpose in putting that in there?
Hope.
No, hope is nice and a fun thing or whatever, but that's not what the story is about. The story is about morality. So you put the hope in there to fool the audience. That's specifically what it's there for.
Okay.
And that is the issue with I'm taking at it.
Or it is to exact an emotional reaction out of the audience because this is still entertainment.
It's not entertaining.
It absolutely is.
This movie is not enjoyable.
You may not be the one of them, but every time I see that little boy around the corner, and Juice, you may have been the same.
Oh yeah.
I'm going, come on, get there,
Yeah.
pack up your shit, go.
That's exactly how I.
That's exactly what it's trying to do.
This is going to get into my ugly, so I think I'm going to step back from it then.
All right.
But real quick, to go back to something you mentioned earlier about how if a dog, how she could have gotten away from the blast zone if, say, a dog passed by and she decided to play with it. The movie established that she is not allowed to play outside of the walls of her home.
Yes.
The dog grabs her bread and runs off with it.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the idea is that you can come up with different ways that allow her to get out of the blast zone.
And maybe that's possible. But from what I saw, what I had seen that had been established is that she does not leave that bench until she has sold all of her bread.
Well, that's because Ari wants to win.
Yeah, right.
So yes, they made a decision to implement this false hope with this little boy, and they kind of went about it they went about it a way that may not necessarily make sense, but it in a way it for me it worked.
That's what my issue is.
Okay.
They went about it in a way that may not make sense.
It makes more sense than a dog.
The dog they showed earlier, so it's at least establishing some possibility that it can come back.
Okay.
She's selling bread, it's a fucking dog, it jumps up on the counter and runs off with it, and she wants to try and chase it down.
But the dog did not bother her the first time she was selling the bread.
Yes, it did. It was around at some point.
It may have been around, but it was never.
It came up to
part
her
of
table and she shooed it away.
Okay.
So there's a possibility it can come back. Just like he was looking for another reason to come back. The idea is that, for me, it may not necessarily make sense for her to have somebody come in and try to save her at the last minute, and then it not really have an impact overall on the story versus if you left her there. The only reason to do it is to elicit, albeit possibly manipulate, an emotional response from the audience. We feel worse for her because we think that there's a possibility she can be saved. If she's not ever, we know that she's going to be ended by this blast, and there's no hope for her whatsoever. Then we're just watching her die, and that's a different type of reaction. I think honestly that might have been a better, more honest one.
No, because they covered that as well. Because it also drives home the fact that they did everything they could. Everything was done that could have been done to save that little girl in that movie. Everything.
I think that
and then it adds. Can I finish
Go ahead,
one
I'm sorry.
point?
Go ahead, baby. I'm so sorry.
It adds not just the morality of should you do this, should you not, but even if you do everything you can to save this little girl, it's possible because it's war that you can't.
Okay.
And it's making that, and that's driven home by Alan Rickman's final line, never tell a soldier he doesn't know the cost of war.
So I'm just going to get into my ugly.
So, that's, I mean...
You know your bad already,
Matt,
because you didn't really have
so Strange says...
I what?
You already did your bad, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah, he did his bad.
Yeah, I did my bad.
So
Strange said you may not finish.
Huh?
Strange said you may not finish.
Oh, I apologize. I'll just sit here quiet.
So here is my issue, and I'm going to start with Alan Rickman's final line, and I'm going to work my way back.
Sure.
Okay.
I understand his perspective. I mean, it's as far or as much as I can with my limited imagination and lack of experience within the armed forces. I understand that I'm not going to know what that's like. What I do also recognize is that there's a potential that comes with callousness or looking at it just for the numbers, and understanding that there's a face and a name behind every single one of those numbers, and that is not a guarantee that anyone who is making these decisions will only ever just look at the numbers, but the majority of the way in which they argue for using military force is the numbers. And so the line at the end that says, don't think the cost, that's understandable, but you are never once making the argument for it. And so it rings hollow at the end. The whole movie Not necessarily the story within itself. I'm not talking about the story or how it is projected. I'm talking about the decision to make the movie the way they did and what themes and lessons that they wanted to tell. For me was, we have all this great technology. However, there's always a cost. It comes to the cost of the innocents. The politicians will dither and dicker or whatever. In the meantime, the terrorists, the faceless terrorists practically, will just go ahead and do whatever they want if we don't stop them. And that is a fairly maybe reductionist view of this movie. I feel like it's a slightly reductionist view of the world that the movie is trying to tell, though. So there's great things about this film that I'm going to get into also. That is layered with some of this they're doing, but it feels slightly propagandist. And where it's trying to talk about how
this is Alan Rickman's last live action movie, Strange.
It's trying to talk about how awful it is to make the decisions that we're doing, but there's so much distance between the people who are making those decisions and the people who are feeling them. Mm-hmm. And while maybe the movie is trying to show that, we only really get it truly through the eyes of people who are doing those decisions. And so this person can cry about what they just got finished doing, boo-hoo, but you get to walk away and live your life and do whatever the fuck you're going to do and come back and do it again tomorrow for all we know.
Well,
and so
that point's driven home too.
I understand that. But they're saying that they're trying to toe this line, trying to say like, oh, look how terrible it is to be us. That's kind of what it feels like. We had such a horrible, awful responsibility to do this. And like, yeah, you do, but you're doing a lot of things wrong while doing it.
I don't know. I feel like everything's wrong, and the world keeps turning, and it sucks.
Yes,
the situation sucks.
Yes, but we're going to examine why the white woman is a terrorist, but not why the black people are. That's what it is. We're going to examine why the British nationalists. And we don't limit up racism or anything.
No, I've already agreed with you on that one. That's a problem.
That is the issue, because the audience is not going to be largely the people who are being portrayed as a terrorist. But it's going to be looking more like the people who are over in Britain and so forth and so on.
I get that.
And so, if you want me to finish my point, I'm going to wrap it up real quick. I'm almost done.
Whenever you're done.
I can go longer if you want me to. Just keep it up.
I know you can.
All right, I will go longer. So the point is that the idea is that they are trying to sell a certain notion to a specific audience. If we wanted to talk about just how terrible the world was, we would also spend a little bit more time with how these situations occurred. We're just dropped into one single solitary day of these people's lives, and with almost no backstory as to how they happen. I'm generally okay with that when it happens, honestly. Like, 'cause a lot of times, like, you don't need to. It's like a zombie film. I don't need to know how the zombies happen. I just need to know how, like, zombies are happening.
Yeah.
But with this type of film that's trying to explore more complex themes, sometimes a little nuance and additional context is fucking necessary. And they missed it in a lot of places.
Okay, Juice, you're ugly.
What haven't you covered yet?
Besides the non-existent.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I'll continue this argument as soon as Juice is done. I'm letting Juice have a chance to talk.
God.
Yield your balance. Have something to think about it. Yield your balance.
I don't know if I don't know. See,
no, Juice needs to get to speak.
No, I'm saying like he can think about it while you're talking if he needs to.
I probably won't need to. I think this movie did a real as far as the it showing everything. I have no problem with it. I don't even. I don't know. I don't think I have any. I hate to say it, I don't even think I hate. I don't really have any ugly that you haven't said.
Okay.
You know.
That works.
That's pretty much all I can get out of it. I don't have a lot of problems with this movie outside of like the political standings and what the movie wants us to feel. Like it made me feel, unfortunately. But I agree with what you're saying in that regard.
I appreciate that.
Strange. I need you to reword your question because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what you're saying either.
But we will answer it when you reword it. So yes, implied patriotism is a thing in this movie. However, you don't even bring up the fact that one part of your argument was they don't acknowledge that you get to walk away from this, but they absolutely do.
I didn't say that they didn't.
When the drone you did.
No, I didn't say they didn't acknowledge it. I was simply stating that that's what happens.
Well, because that's what happens.
Yes.
This is the world we live in.
But boo-hoo, I'm so glad that you have your tears, that you're sad this happened, but you do get to walk away.
She wants, basically what she's, I want to feel like what you're saying is, the movie wants us to feel sorry for them.
Yes.
You know, that's part of the problem.
Is it trying to get
Ari said I'm sorry what after Matt made a snide comment and it felt so threatening. She thinks she's threatening.
So yeah, that's what this movie does. This movie wants to make you feel sorry for these people who have to do their job and make and have to make a decision, and it may be the wrong decision.
I disagree. It is not the point of the movie to make you feel sorry for anyone. It is the point of the movie to make you think about the situation that you may be in, the horror of war, the morality of this situation. It is meant to make you think, not to feel sorry for any one particular person.
That might be what they meant to do.
If you end up feeling sorry for one particular person and you don't like yourself for it because they get to walk away, that's one thing. But you can't blame the movie.
They can. They are the ones who set up the music. The long, slow drive afterwards in the rain while she's pondering about what she just got finished doing. The comment that Alan Rickman says to the lady afterwards when she's sitting there crying about what they fucking just got finished doing. Like, he's basically saying, like, don't feel sorry for me or whatever, like, but I did what I had to do because don't think that I don't feel bad about what I'm doing. Basically is what he's saying.
Yeah, like, I know what the cost is. I get it.
Yes, it sucks and it's terrible. Like, so you should feel bad because it's terrible. That's sympathy.
Yes.
The movie wants you to feel sympathy for these people.
Sympathy for the situation.
For the people who, like, you witnessed something terrible. That's literally his words.
Yeah.
That is sympathy. He is showing it to her, and by extension, he's showing it to the audience.
It's more of a comment of agreement with that what has happened today is terrible.
He didn't.
However,
no, of course, he's like, don't try to throw your shit in my face. He's acknowledging that there is something sympathetic in what she went through.
Yes.
She witnessed something terrible.
Yeah.
That is sympathy that they are trying to communicate to the audience. That they're assuming that you would also be sitting there in some capacity feeling like her. Even a little bit. That this is a terrible decision.
Would you not?
That's the point. That's where the issue is. So how does that make
it ugly for the movie?
Because it is hard for me to feel, it doesn't feel sincere or ingenuous. It feels disingenuous, I think is what I'm looking for. When you are going to sit there and make a movie that, in the end, is designed to help garner sympathy for people, governments, entities who have horrible weapons of war. I'll wait till you're done.
Look it up the meaning of disingenuous so I can argue with you more. Matt, she thinks she is threatening me. Join us at PRW Hard Knocks on the Rocks as we crown new heavyweight champ since our last one died. We also need a new re-announcer. Our other is on the way out.
I am available for ring announcing. But
check us out at Juicy the Ref.
That's right.
Facebook.
But so my point is that I'm trying to remember my point. The point is that it's hard it doesn't feel it lands hollow when you're trying to basically talk about how horrible it is to be this country or this people who have to make such awful decisions for our safety and security with Hellfire missiles and drones piloted almost with impunity across the world, launching strikes into an admittedly friendly country. We are not at war with them, and we're still shooting the fuck out of somebody's house in the suburbs
in the middle of the day.
That's a good point. I'm not. Okay, you have a good point, but you're not necessarily right.
I will take that I have a good point. You may disagree with me on it.
Yeah.
I will take that I have a good point.
But honestly, I mean, before we get into, because I think we covered. Well, wait, was that Everyone's Ugly? Did or did we just do your?
No, that was Everyone's Ugly.
Okay. Before we get into the closing of this is honestly the reason I put this on the wheel.
This is also, we have to do our grades still.
That's fine.
Yes.
This is why I put this on the wheel, though. Yes. Like, we are now an hour into this. We still have a good 20, 30 minutes left. This went on the wheel because I knew it would provoke conversation.
Yes.
Whether it's about the making of the movie, whether it's about the writing of the movie, whether it's about the subject material.
Is there more of them?
That's true.
That's true.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. You're just the worst.
Whether it was the subject material of the movie, this was going to provoke a fucking discussion, which is the whole point of this series.
Okay.
So that is one of my points. Now, let's go into the great, and I want you to fucking start with the great.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Go ahead.
It's because I remember movie part doesn't mean I don't still enjoy or have parts of it that I enjoyed.
No, I know. You're just...
The great...
God, you're cynical. When it comes to movies.
I'm very critical.
Fine.
I don't mean that as in, like, I'm constantly, like, finding bad. I'm just constantly thinking about ways in which a movie works and doesn't work.
Okay.
That's it.
That's fine. I'll take critical.
It's a pattern recognition thing for me.
All right.
That's what it is.
And that's one of the other reasons why I brought this whole concept up, because what you see, I want to be able to see it as well.
No, good.
And it's part of her
thought process.
It's just the way you think. Because I remember going to Activate, and there's like the Activate was a lot of fun because everyone really got to be a leader at one point.
Yeah.
Because each game plays to different strengths.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the one where there was pattern recognition on the wall, and I was lost to the abyss. Like, I appreciate Ari's takes on movies. I don't think as deep on them as I do on hip-hop albums.
That's fair.
That's fair.
No, strange. I've always seen you as the Ari of hip-hop.
In that.
In regards to how critical you are and how deeply you talk about them. But anyway, Activate. I remember we were in the pattern recognition room and I was lost to the abyss. Like, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And you were just getting it. Like, it wasn't even hard for you. So I get the way you think, and I get that, and I go more off of emotional connection with the movie. And if you betray my trust, if a movie betrays my trust, then I will rip it to shreds even worse than you will. Because I'm emotionally connected to you. You are now guiding me over the next 2 hours. Go ahead and guide me. And then if you're bad, I will lash out because I just wasted 2 hours and gave you my trust.
Yeah.
Whereas you are just from the get-go, this is a introductory period. I will let you test the waters. Let's see what you got.
When we go on free this weekend. I've got time. Let's go.
We should go to Activate.
We should
go to Activate. We should make time for that. We have some money coming in. Maybe we can go this month sometime.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And, let me, before I go into my grade, I do want to reference the pattern recognition for a second. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
That for me, it's not just about. It would be hard for me to explain the pattern recognition for me when it comes to movies. It's about both what's going on within the film and also what I understand or have witnessed in my entire filmography as an audience member. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. Does this movie make sense, right, within the context of that movie? Are the shots lining up? Does this dialogue make sense within this scene, that sort of thing? And so I can point those out fairly easy, but not all the time. Like, I'm not gonna see every single time. That's fine. It's why Michael Bay movies piss me off so much, and like a lot of like horror movies, because they fuck with that so hard. There's a pattern, obviously, but it's a stupid pattern, and I don't like being. It's disappointing, basically.
Yeah.
It's
paint by
3
numbers.
steps. Yeah, basically.
Paint by fucking numbers.
There's some things that paint by numbers that's very rudimentary that works. But there's some other level to it that makes
No, Michael Bay almost walks you through the paint by numbers, and like, if you try to think too hard into it, he's like, no, come this way, and it's like, no, I want to go this way. No, this is how you make money. This is how you make movies. No, it's not.
Well, apparently it is because he makes a lot of money with it.
It's easy.
I know. But the other part of it is, of course, looking at the larger audience experience. So, like, the society, the narrative that's being told, like other movies that have done something similar, other types of genre films that have done something, like basically that sort of thing. Like, understanding that all of them are going to be different, but there are certain rules that do seem to exist within filmmaking that while breaking them isn't necessarily going to make you a bad movie, they are existing for a reason in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And so when you go against them, the experience can be disappointing or jarring or uncomfortable for the audience member. If that's what you're going for, that could be a thing, but if you fail at it, I'm going to rip you a new one.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That being said, my
great.
My great was a little girl. My great was, there's a couple of greats in this movie, actually. My great is a little girl, and it's not just because she's a fantastic actress. She doesn't really do a lot as an actress. They don't really have her do much. It's a very natural experience, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole character, for me, was what was great. They show this little girl's life they do a very good job of showing what this little girl's experience is. She lives with two parents. She is their only child. They do not have very much money. She sells bread that her mom makes. So her mom is taking care of the house and may honestly be easier within the very restrictive lifestyle that they live in for her to mingle around. Obviously, there's other women who are moving around because they're the ones who are mostly buying her bread. But she might also be doing other stuff, like she's making more bread or whatever, or something like that. While the dad has a bicycle shop that he uses like to make money as well. So everyone in that house is working.
Also,
they don't have a lot of money. They are poor, but they seem to be happy and care for each other.
And also, the household does not live by the...
I'm not there yet. I want to get there. The other part of it is like that is kind of her solace. I guess her escape from the world outside that's constantly trying to tell her that she can't do certain things. The fact that he has to hide the books that she reads, or he's trying to teach her math, and they have to hide it whenever somebody comes around because they don't know the person's going to be an extremist and like rat on them and like kill her and them or whatever, or if they're going to be cool with it. And just like, nah, we're just going to hide it because it's not allowed. It's against the law. Right. This little girl's life is very incredibly constricted, and yet she still shows so much joy because she's just a fucking child. She doesn't know any better. She is the most innocent thing in that whole world, as they usually are, and she is bearing the brunt of everyone else's poor fucking decisions.
Yes.
And what happens to her is just going to actually make the case that the governments of the world in trying to stop the terrorists worse. Because all you're doing is, if at best, you're going to turn that family against you. They may not actively go out and try and kill your soldiers, but they're not going to help you.
No.
At worst, they're going to actually be out to try to kill you and everyone else who may be aligned with you. And so, like, you talk about the propaganda war in the film, and this is, like, the worst thing you could possibly do in trying to win that, which is ultimately going to be what wins you more, like, lives or battles or whatever you need to do, is hearts and minds. I thought that's what we're going for. And so, like, her role, her experience that we get a glimpse into is very well done. It's very well crafted. I wish more was like that in this film. They don't have time for it, I guess? I don't know. But they at least give her that, because a lot of films would just like, okay, it was a little girl, we're just going to put her there. She's now a plot device. We don't watch her entire day. We don't watch her entire life. We don't watch her before she walks into the screen and with the bread. We see her. They're the first thing we see.
Yeah, that's one of the things. That's one of the first things I mentioned in my overall. But yeah, no, they planted that seed right at the beginning, and then little bits. We cut back to her. We cut back to the family every so often, and we see her life for that day, couple days, whatever it is, and like you said, she is the plot of the movie. Yeah. She is the movie.
She's the heart, and then we, do terrible things to it. The other great I will say about this film, which all the stuff I just got finished saying with my ugly, is layered within there every once in a while, like Jennifer, Rachel's trifle or whatever. Like there's good things in there, just they don't mesh well together or whatever. The point is that.
Are you talking about from Friends?
Yes.
Okay.
The point is that when we first meet the foreign secretary, he's at a conference for arms dealing.
Yeah.
Because that's really what this is about.
Yeah.
That's really what a lot of war, especially for Americans, is about. That's why he's like, I don't care. We gave you those weapons for a reason. Fucking use them. That's an issue, and I wish that we kind of explored it more within the film. But obviously, not what this film's gonna be. But the fact that that's where he's found is just kind of driving home that basically a lot of what these governments, these individuals, these players maybe are doing is acting as basically arms brokers, and oftentimes those weapons will fall into wronger hands.
Yeah.
And they're going to be used against you or against our other interests, which is just going to sell more weapons. Because now we got to defend against those two. Okay, I'm not even joking. What do you say?
I'm not even joking. I thought about going to activate and totally stop listening to y'all.
So those are my grades. Is that they point out that they at least call into attention the role of a lot of governments and actors, whatever, at least in the West, as arms dealers, basically. Creating a need and then also satisfying that need, or demand or whatever, and then also the little girl and her entire existence. I know, Kelly. I know. Her legs are not doing as well. I finally got her medicine, so I'm just waiting for it to kick in.
Okay.
So, she was trying to get on the couch, it didn't work. But yeah. So those are my grades. They exist within this film, I promise.
Well, no, you can't say this is a bad movie.
I didn't say it was a bad movie.
It's a complicated movie.
No,
it is.
and that's the thing is I'm not saying you did. Stop trying to find an argument.
I feel like you're trying to instigate a little bit there, Matt.
Yes.
It's not instigating.
All right, do your grade next.
My grade, okay, the little girl, yeah, Alan Rickman, Mirren. But I'm gonna try to stay at the point where the grade is just my favorite part of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's, I think it's why I fought against it so hard. It's the ex machina. It's the little boy running to the table, and the little girl, and you're sitting there, and you're in your gut, and you're like, come on, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. And then the ending happens, and it's like it's a punch in the face, and it's fantastically delivered. And if you're gonna do a slow burn like this movie, the ending has to hit, and I feel like the ending hit. I totally believe. So it's that specific part. Go ahead.
Okay. I think for me, my grade is Aaron Paul throwing the book at Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah.
It's that moment of putting your beliefs over your duty.
Yeah.
Sometimes we look at that and it really toes the line as to whether you want to do your duty or do what you believe is morally right. And I think that was just a really good shot, a good moment of trying to do your duty while still trying to be morally correct. We don't always get that, unfortunately, and that's obviously what this movie wants to do. Yeah. Again, at the end of the day, this is a film, and it's meant to invoke emotion while still invoking conversation about what it wants to teach us in whatever fashion. But for me, I love your analysis of the little girl. Very well thought out, way more than I would have thought out. Yeah. And again, Matt, I really do like. I'm with you on the false hope. I'm a sucker for a good story. It may as bad as it can be sometimes, and maybe they not make the decision. But usually when I watch a film, I watch it more so for the emotion. Mm. And for me, I think that's kind of when it got me, is that moment when he says, I'm the one pulling the fucking trigger. I have the right to get a recount or a
collateral damage estimate.
Yeah, a CDE. I'm calling it in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's it for me.
I just want to say something real quick. Sure. I don't want you guys to think that I don't watch it for emotion also. That is part of the
but you expect the movie to pull the emotion out of you. We give it.
No, it's maybe to a certain extent.
We've made that. We've had that conversation. You want it to earn your emotion.
That's because it's supposed to.
And we just give our emotion willingly, and then what you do with it decides on how we feel about it.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly. It's different ways to watch a movie.
Yeah.
We're not criticizing you. I just think you're wrong.
No.
Oh, I don't think she's...
In this one case.
Oh, no, I don't think she's wrong.
No, in this one case, I do.
Yeah, okay, well, that's you. I don't think she's wrong. I'm just throwing in my point of view of it. I appreciate her point of view and the way she sees it.
Well, everyone's point of view is appreciated.
Exactly, and that's why we're doing this as well, so I can get a better understanding. But when I went into this for the first time, I'm like, again, I take it at face value for the first time.
No, yeah, and that's the thing is you have a certain ear and eye for film that we are not as
privy to,
versed in. Because you'll be talking about the score, and you'll be talking about certain lighting effects.
And that's another thing I didn't talk about in this movie.
You want me to cry? Earn it, bastard.
Yeah, well, that would...
No, I feel like Strange watches movies the way you watch movies.
I agree. I didn't mention any of the music in this movie, but the use of music...
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing.
Or lack thereof.
No, yeah, absolutely. The use of music and the lack thereof, because the when it really ramped up, but it wasn't overpowering. And then when they do fire that first shot and everything goes quiet, except for Tully.
Yeah.
Because, oftentimes when you're doing it from the drone anyway, you wouldn't hear the explosion.
No, you wouldn't.
The video would not have it.
Exactly. And the way that it was done, once we cut to everybody else, and we just see their perspective, it's like, oh, fuck. It really amps up the dramatic effect.
Yeah.
So, no, the music I didn't mention in my good, but the use of music when it mattered was very well done. And I don't know if we mentioned who did the score, but it doesn't matter. Really, it's good. It was, I enjoyed it.
I will actually also add real quick with regards to the emotion to watching films. I will give you an example of why I don't give movies my emotions and make them earn it.
Sure.
Once upon a time in circa 1998, I went with a bunch of friends to go see Mortal Kombat Annihilation in theaters when it first came out. Boy. And within 5 minutes of that film's runtime, I instantly regretted my decision. This is not Super Mario Brothers bad. This is not Street Fighter bad. This is still bad. But actually it's worse. But the idea...
I could watch Super Mario Brothers again at some point in my life.
The live action?
I cannot watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I agree.
Within 5 minutes, the movie made me instantly regret giving it any of my money or time. Now, because of the time, I also am stuck there because I don't have a car.
Yeah.
I may as well sit through the schlock and see just how bad they made it.
Yeah.
And so this is why, it's one of the reasons why I don't just give a movie my fucking emotions. You motherfuckers need a goddamn earn it. I walked in here expecting a decent movie. If I don't get that, you don't get my emotion. That's how it works. I mean, I guess anger and disgust are emotions.
No, but that's not. But they're not necessarily the emotions they are essentially trying.
They're not aiming for.
Now I know we're not. I know this isn't. We're not reviewing Mortal Kombat Annihilation. In that regard, when I first saw that movie, now I am a few years your junior.
Yes.
But when I first saw that movie, I did not necessarily have an issue with it. Now I am significantly younger, and I was riding off the high of the original movie.
Everyone was. And initially, why would you fucking see it?
Now, one of the problems I did... Hold on. We'll wait.
That's fair, Shane. I feel the same way.
Okay, hold on. I want to get into that.
You were on a date too?
In general, is how I feel about movies. They're that bad.
The one thing I know I didn't like that I remember from my original viewing, more or less, was that there were too many characters and there were a lot of characters that didn't get used.
They killed Johnny Cage.
They killed Johnny Cage right from the jump.
Which I'm like
Sonya.
The CGI was awful.
The actor changes, I get it. The actor changes. I wasn't that.
They changed Raiden.
They changed Raiden and they changed Sonya. Yes, but I wasn't that upset about it.
Oh, I was.
I don't know. I mean, yes, I am. I mean, you replace Christopher Lambert with
who the fuck?
James Remar.
I don't want to be disrespectful to him, as I'm sure he's the only person I've seen him on the shit. But you were not thinking Christopher Lambert. That's why I was wanting for.
But still, okay, you replace them, and yes, I wasn't as upset as I should have as I am now. Mm-hmm. But like there was that, but there was a lot of characters that didn't get a lot of screen time, and I remember that upset me when I first saw it. Now as an adult, and I've re-seen it, I'm like, there's way too much now I know, and I know like they try to do way too much for a sequel. Yeah. And you failed the execution because you were riding off the high of the success of the first movie and the video game franchise. Go fuck yourselves. The 2017 movie at least did a better job of establishing a prequel to what the first movie is, or the world of the tournament. Anyway,
the point I use that movie as an example of like giving a movie my emotions. Like the idea of like just going in, I'm giving you my emotions, what you do with it, do what you will. And I'm like, I've seen I've paid for far too many terrible movies in my life to just walk in like, you guys do whatever you want with my emotions. No. You have my money. I'm expecting you to do something good with my emotions. If you can't, then fuck you. Which is also why I'm super selective in the movies that I go see in the theater, because I'm not going to just justify your terrible decisions with my money. That's just not how I feel like doing it.
I feel the same way to an extent. I guess the only difference is I haven't had that experience of spending my money on a lot of movies that have betrayed my emotions.
I did a lot of that in my childhood.
And then I probably need to do that more as an adult.
I think I did a lot of that in my childhood and adolescence. And I think it's also because, I don't know what, and this is another conversation we're having, we're going to end this real quick. I don't know about your experiences growing up, but with regards to going to the movies, but that was a very regular thing for me. Mm-hmm. I did that all the time as a kid. I don't remember going to see movies like multiple times very often, but I do know I went to see Jurassic Park a couple times in the theater when it was out. Saw Terminator 2, and we went as family. But sometimes my mom would just drop us off. It was a movie that we wanted to see, and she would just let us go hang out in the movie theater for a few hours. We watch one or two or whatever, hang out at the mall, and come home. And so it was a fairly cheap
regular thing.
It was a cheap alternative because we also didn't have a whole lot of friends that we could hang out with in our neighborhood. Gary is fairly large, and a lot of our friends didn't have cars, or we didn't want to go to their parents' houses, or our parents didn't trust us going to their houses. The neighborhood's kind of bad, so we can't play outside. So what can you do that's cheap for kids on a weekend? Fucking movies.
Fair enough. I didn't have that same experience because I grew up with 4 other brothers and sisters, but anytime I went to the movies, it was to go see a movie that everybody wanted to see, and by everybody I mean us, the kids, me and my siblings, and a lot of the times it was always some kind of family movie or something targeted at our age group that we essentially forced mom to take us, or she took us because it was something to do, like you said, something cheap to do on the weekend.
Once upon a time.
And the only time, and for me, the only time I can ever think of going to a movie that I didn't necessarily care about seeing, that wasn't really my choice, but it was maybe mom's because she wanted to see it or whatever, was Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. That is the only of that trilogy that I saw in the movie theater, where I was genuinely surprised, because I think it is a good movie. I haven't seen it in years, can't tell. But we
should do the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
But that's the only experience I have in regards to that. Outside of that, that was the kitty. Outside of that, I don't have that same experience. So that would explain a lot of my taste in film. Yeah.
I think also when I was in high school, it was still the same thing with family or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I went to the academy, so I went to a boarding school for my last 2 years of my high school, we don't have cars. We live on a college campus. We're high school kids, so there's not a whole lot that we can or should be doing. Mm-hmm. But so they had a van run that would take us out to the malls and the movie theater like every Friday and Saturday night. So if you had any extra money, which a lot of times we had at least something, then we would just get like, what do you want to watch? I don't know. We get in the van. Who cares? We'll find something when we get there. So and that's how I saw Devil's Advocate. I never heard that movie before I walked in. Everyone's like, we're gonna go see this film. Like,
which one?
Devil's Advocate.
Oh, shit.
I had no idea what that was before I walked into it, and I fucking love that film. So it's on my list, actually. But so, like, that was a regular, almost, like, if not, like, weekly, then, like, bi-weekly just because of Buddy. But, like, so every, like, two or three times a month, at the very least. So for, like, 2 years.
I think the only experience I have with watching bad movies may be watching horror movies. Because in more recent years, I've been dragged.
I think drug works. Dragged.
I've been dragged to go see a lot of horror movies with my sister and my niece, and I'm not a fan of horror movies.
I've done it too.
Yeah, but see, when you do it, it's different because you have a. They go to see horror movies for the shock value.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have an eye for horror that's actually going to scare me or be decent.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So I appreciate going to see
minus the fucking Saw franchise, you critical shit here.
To be fair, Matthew, the Saw franchise are not horror movies, they're gore.
Yeah.
They're gore porn, yeah.
Exactly.
And it's the only gore porn that I actually watch.
Well, it's kind of like saying metal isn't rock. Like they're both like it's a part of it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Julieta got into watching Saw.
Oh, Jesus
sweet.
Christ.
I would be interested in you having. Well, she may not necessarily have a discussion. She's more interested in just the dismemberment and whatnot because she works in an emergency room, and now she's intrigued by
blood and guts.
Blood, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick, I want to go back to Strange. Me with Batman v Superman, I went on a date and she refused to leave because she paid for it.
Yeah,
I kind of did that with you guys too.
Yeah.
When we went to go see it.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah,
I promise you guys were talking. I had to talk you into not liking it.
No, and I think it's because I very much have the problem of I spent money on it. I'm gonna find a reason to like it initially, right off after a movie.
The other problem is we were all the way out.
But I have gotten to the point where I will walk out of a movie theater saying that was fucking bullshit.
Oh yeah, no, I still haven't got that.
Well, the other problem at the time is we were all the way out in Naperville, and that was your ride.
Also, it was a decent theater.
It is a very
it was a good experience.
We were eating there too.
That was the one with the dinner.
So Strange, we went to. I took them to the Hollywood Palms out in Naperville for Batman v Superman. So that there's a slight relatability there. Great theater experience, not a great movie. Especially the theatrical release. The theatrical release is terrible. The Ultimate Edition does make it a modicum better.
I would say also, by the way, and I mentioned it before, I think at some point in our friendship, but I'll just mention it again on the stream.
Sure.
We were talking about Mortal Kombat and the high that came from the first one, which I know that you and I have different opinions about how good that fucking movie is.
Well, it's because you sit here and you're so critical of all these other movies, and I could point out so much that you're critical of other movies for in Mortal Kombat, and you still stand by that it's a good movie.
Comparatively.
The first one?
Comparatively.
The first movie?
The first one. It's not a good movie.
It's not a great movie, but it's
not a good movie.
Okay, so we're not gonna. We'll get into an argument about why Mortal Kombat is a good movie.
Put it on your fucking wheel. We'll have a discussion.
But
it is. Okay.
But my point was that there was like a fucking hour-long stream somewhere from this site called So Bad It's Good or Good Bad Movies.
Okay.
And they dive into movies and why they're good or why they're bad or why they're bad, and then they're actually called classes or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit that went into making that fucking film that I didn't realize even 20 years after the fact.
We are completely off the movie we started.
We are, I know.
We're almost done though.
But I was just pointing that out. You should check it out at some point. It's really fucking fascinating.
The other thing Strange said is, I'm coming over if you do Lord of the Rings. Also, once I started making money, I spent a lot on bad movies. Well, you live and you learn. And you lived. So, there you go. And if we do Lord of the Rings, I don't know.
I've been trying to get Strange to watch Lord of the Rings for a while. Because Strange has never seen them.
I strongly recommend doing the theatrical cut. The first time through. First time through.
That's fine. That's
it's like
fine.
12 hours fucking with all the other added bonuses, maybe.
No,
at minimum.
That's fine. That's fair. But at some point, I gotta watch Return of the King extended.
I need to rewatch the original trilogy at some point because I never got into it, but I do remember I liked the Return of the King.
No, and I think they would be fun for these discussions.
So going back to this film, now that we've talked about our good, bad, ugly, and great.
So now out of 10?
Out of 10, yes.
Out of 10.
I'll go first. For me, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I was right at 8.5.
Okay.
So I think we're all in the same ballpark there. Average of 8. Which is exactly where the audience score landed on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right about where the Metacritic and IMDb was, a little higher than them. But overall, same kind of area. This is a 7 or 8 movie. Stream, watch, or buy? Stream. It is too rough of a movie to buy because you're not going to watch it often enough.
No.
It's not a classic enough to own it.
It is Alan Rickman's last live-action performance, and he is still very good in it. So, but obviously it's not. Don't watch it just for him.
Yeah.
And don't buy it just for him.
No. Yeah. There are plenty of things you should buy just for Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is the top of the fucking
That's
list.
on my list!
Die Hard, and
Galaxy Quest.
All the Harry Potter movies, Galaxy Quest, Dogma! Fucking Dogma!
If you can find it.
Yeah. But here's the thing is, no, Die Hard and the other one he said. No.
Robin Hood?
Before
Harry
Dogma.
Potter? Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest. Those two, there's other reasons to watch besides Alan Rickman.
That's fair, but...
But Alan Rickman's a big part of both those movies, so I get it. With a fantastic follow-up to Alan Rickman's character by Jeremy Irons in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
So.
It's a fuck ton better than Die Hard 2.
And we're gonna get into. I don't want to get into another conversation, but we'll just make this very, very brief before we end the stream. With regards to Die Hard, a lot of people really like Die Hard with a Vengeance, and maybe it's because they like it better than 2. And so it's a comparison sort of thing. Like, it's better than the last one, so I'm not going to,
I see it because it's a good follow-up to 1 because it's his brother, and he plays his... I believe that Jeremy Irons is his brother. Like, I believe that that's the same family and the same thought process.
Oh, I couldn't pass his fucking accent. It was weird. Like, they both have really weird...
You and accents. You are such a stickler.
Sometimes
all right.
It just fucking... But this bothers me. But no, I was just saying. Yeah.
So, now we're spinning.
Yes.
I believe, and it is.
Did we cover everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stream, rent, buy was the usual last one. So.
All right.
So overall, good movie though.
Yeah. Overall.
You should check out Eye in the Sky while it's on Max.
Yes, I don't want a way to watch it, but like I would still try to make it a point to watch it, if nothing else, because of Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
But just be prepared for a very rough watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. So with that being said, we are about to start round 4.
Round 4
of the wheel.
And in 2 months, if this is still going, then we'll be jumping into our Halloween edition of the wheel, which will be all horror movies.
I guess I'll have to make a horror.
Yeah.
God, that's gonna be hard.
I'm going to beg you to put The Devil All the Time on that list and take it off of the one you have now.
Oh no, I did take it off of the one I have now.
Thank Christ.
But.
You was.
I don't feel like that's...
Fuck that noise. That movie is horrible.
It's not a horror movie, though.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's not a horrible movie.
It qualifies way more of a horror than it does.
How are you going to call it a horrible movie?
We'll
talk about it later.
Yeah, that'll be a topic for another discussion, but that's definitely going to...
anyway.
That is definitely going to push me as far as horror, because I don't do horror very well.
The recognition is my wife loves horror.
There you go.
Yeah, that she can help me with that.
We can talk about it when me and her go to Cooper's Hawk in a couple of weeks.
Yay.
Couple
Anyway,
weeks
all right.
when they get married.
Or whatever.
When they get married.
And a few weeks. Sorry, in a few weeks.
All right. So with that being said, I know I do have a few horror movies on this list, but that's because I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I've heard of them when you see them. All right. So with that being said, here we go. Wheel of Morality. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
What is it?
Oh, we're gonna have fun next week.
Okay.
Oh man. Oh, I need a good line. Do I have anything?
Notice health.
Prepare to be shell shocked next week.
Oh,
We are watching the original 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we are gonna have some fun.
Yes, this one. See, this one's just gonna be a fun conversation.
No, this one's
because I think we're all gonna agree.
Yeah, we're all gonna have a lot of positive.
Yeah.
There's gonna be very little bad.
Yeah. There'll be some.
There'll be some bad for sure. I mean, this movie is from it is from 1990.
But I've watched it recently.
No, but I think nostalgia is really gonna hit very hard. But then also when you compare it, I think there's gonna be a lot of comparison to everything that came after it.
Yeah.
I refuse to compare it to anything else that came after it for maybe Secret of Those, but in all honesty.
Maybe. Okay, we'll have that.
We'll have that discussion next week for sure.
The whole point is that it's a good enough movie and it's standalone that I don't need to compare it to any other one, especially since a lot of the other ones pale in comparison.
That's fair. However, it's I think it's a good discussion.
Hey, Strange is going to participate on this one.
It's a good discussion to have about the franchise as a whole.
I can't. I won't participate.
Then you and I can have a discussion about the franchise.
That's fine because I fucking sat through the 2 Michael Bay iterations, and I'll be happy to have this conversation with you.
So I have also sat through the 2 Michael Bay iterations. I've seen the first one to its entirety, but yet vaguely remember it. The second one, I've also seen it. Unfortunately, Yogi does like those movies, so he does play them at the shop occasionally because the original trilogy doesn't come up on any streaming service. Yeah, I know.
Just buy it on Prime. You'll watch it enough.
I know, but I have the DVD anyway. So no, that'll be a great discussion. And we're gonna have. I should get Domino's next week.
Yeah, get Domino's.
I think I should get Domino's for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sorry, I have to put it out now because every time I see that movie, I always want to get Domino's. It's perfect product placement because even as a kid at that time, to me, and I think we've had this discussion before, Domino's has always felt special to me because we didn't have it around my neighborhood. It was only like up north or in the suburbs, and so it's like if you're getting Domino's, it's super super special, and that movie kind of like drilled that into my head. So next week we are gonna have a pizza party, and we're gonna have
like penicillin with
your pizza.
Oh
we're gonna have fun.
Oh my god, there's so many quotable lines in that movie, and we're just gonna annoy Ari with our nerdness.
Absolutely.
So that'll be fantastic.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Alright, so with that being said, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 next week on Wednesday, so make sure you watch and you're ready for discussion. Text Chris and Jessica and let them know so they can jump in. We will be back Friday with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yes.
And then we'll be back to our Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We should be from then on out. No, we will not be back Friday because we're doing A Quiet Place.
Oh shit, that's right.
This coming Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to come watch A Quiet Place? Have you seen the first 2?
I've seen the first 2.
Do you want to go see A Quiet Place on Friday night?
I would love to go see A Quiet Place on Friday.
Okay.
Depending on how... Well, you get out late on Fridays anyway, right?
I get out at 6 on Fridays, so it'd be probably around a 7:30 show.
We could possibly do a stream that day of review if we got open time.
An extra special Friday night.
We'll see if we can get
new release.
It'll depend on timing because Fridays I normally try to leave the shop. I usually leave the shop late. I might be able to get out. I might get out at 7.
Okay.
6 is kind
But
of.
that means you can make a 7:30 movie.
Yes. Especially if we do.
And we aim for 7:30 anyway,
great.
because if I get a late car deal, then I'm not.
That works too. But
screwed.
And I guess the other thing would be, do we do Portage or do we do out here?
Oh, we were going to do out here for
okay.
this anyway.
Perfect. That's fine.
Also, there is another movie we're doing that
Part 1.
you may or may not want to join us for. We'll talk about that after the stream. So, for No Car Entertainment, couple other things I wanted to talk about. Oh, there will be a super duper special stream, movie review, movie discussion stream when Deadpool and Wolverine drops. I don't think we can see that movie and not sit here and do a stream and not talk about it.
I think
so. That will happen.
I think we owe it to ourselves and our old and out of theater movie discussions, which I almost kind of want to get back to, but that's going to be kind of, I think that's difficult just because of scheduling, so who knows?
Yeah, because, I mean, we have kind of gotten into a habit of going to Wednesday matinees, and you are obviously at the shop.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we need to go to the movies more often. We need to see more things. So, the movie season actually just started, so we could talk as soon as we get off here. So, for No Color Entertainment, this is Matt.
This is Juice.
Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and then hit the bell icon after you share, like, and subscribe. We're out.
Bye.
Bossa Nova. Chevy Nova. Excellent.